Hello everyone and welcome to your real estate show with thanks to Harcourts Tasmania for another week. Well, from what's happening across Hobart's northern suburbs to rental control concerns and also what extra you really should be budgeting for when buying a home, we've got another big show for you tonight, including our final instalment of our tour through that amazing property at Hawley. But first tonight, I was given the keys to a family home at Grindelwald just outside of Launceston. It hasn't even hit the market yet. Let's take a sneak peek. Well, today I'm in the West Tamar at Grindelwald at a property that hasn't even hit the market yet. It's a perfect house for a young family or an older retired couple. Let's take a look inside. The house has a really comfortable open plan living and kitchen area. It's got ducted heating throughout, but have a look at this really different ethanol fire. It's certainly somewhere you'd like to sit beside in the cold, dark winter months. As a mother of three boys, I can certainly say the two children's bedrooms in this house are certainly very pink and delightful, but most importantly, excellent storage, which every mother knows is a must. Everyone loves a good walk-in wardrobe, but have a look at this clever storage solution for your shoes. It's a really easy access from the house through the laundry out to a really flat backyard and a granny flat that's fully self-contained out the back as well. So while it's not officially on the market, this house is for sale for a price in the high 600s. If you're interested in a long settlement, give Rachel Routner or David Hernick a call at Harcourts. In tonight's regional profile, we're going to be taking a look at what's happening across Hobart's northern suburbs with thanks to homely.com.au. Joining us now to talk about what's happening across Hobart's northern suburbs, we're joined by Damien Hollingsworth from Harcourts Signature. Hello to you, Damien. How are things tracking in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, really busy. Thanks, Rachel.
Oh, that's good to hear. Now, let's start with Glenorchy, obviously one of the bigger regional outlying cities in Hobart's northern suburbs. We're seeing some really big price growth there with a median price of $460,500. What's driving all of that growth?
Just there's lots of things happening in the Glenorchy area. People are seeing it as a really good place to live. Very progressive council there. We've got the redevelopment of the Dawn Entertainment Centre happening at the moment, and there's some big things happening at Wilkinson's Point to follow that in regards to hotel and accommodation.
And then if you track a little bit further out, you head to Brighton, and it's really interesting to see the figures there as well. We'll take a look, 487,500. Who's actually moving there to that area, and what's the positivity around that?
Yeah, there's a range of people moving to the Brighton area, from young families to retirees and even investors. It's a more affordable sort of housing market in Brighton. Flat land, obviously cheaper build costs, etc. And it's a town that's still got that little bit of rural feel about it.
Well, speaking of rural, you've also then got New Norfolk, where there's lots of building work underway there. And I can't believe it, 41.8% rise over 2 years. Can you believe that, Damien?
It's amazing, isn't it? The Glenorchy, New Norfolk's a town that has certainly taken off. There's a big project up here at the moment, the mills, and that's going to be absolutely fabulous for the Donald Valley. So there's 1,100 jobs per year that will be employed for that project.
It's certainly changing the face of the northern suburbs. Lots of positivity ahead by the looks of things.
Yes, yep, definitely.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that update, Damien.
No worries. Thanks, Rachel.
It was Damien Hollingsworth joining us there from Harcourts Signature. Well, up next, we're going to be taking a look at what's happening in the rental market. We're now joined by Louise, Elliott, President of the Tasmanian Residential Rental Property Owners Association. Thanks for joining us, Louise. Now, there's been lots of talk about rent control of late. How is that impacting confidence in the sector?
That's right. There is a lot of talk of rent control. There's also word of pressure about removing owners' rights as to whether they accept or decline animals in their property, which brings an inherent risk with them. And we also have talk about removing the ability to end a lease when it's run its course, removing fixed-term leases. So those that messaging and those sort of threats that are out there, they're having a big impact on investors' confidence and their willingness to invest in a market where prices are really high.
Because we're seeing not a lot of investors actually willing to then rent out the properties they're buying.
That's true, yes. And also there's some really disturbing stats coming out as well. The Australian Housing and Urban Research Institute came out with a report only in the last week or two stating worryingly that 9% of landlords are actually intending to sell. That's a really big figure. When you look at Tasmania, that equates to around 3,600 houses, which will be potentially coming up for sale over the course of however long. And the lending stats coming out from the REIT and also from the Australian Bureau of Statistics show that around 20% of those only 20% of those will stay as investment properties. The rest will transform over to owner-occupiers. So at a time when every rental is precious, that's really can be bad news, not only for owners, because that's an investment class kind of that they're turning away from, but also for tenants, because less rentals obviously means more competition, higher rental prices. So it's a worrying time. Those policies that we spoke about before are certainly making it worse, both sides of the equation in tenancies.
So the removal of this fixed term lease, what are the impacts of that?
Well, at the moment, you have a fixed term lease and you have an ongoing lease. It's very common for people to do a fixed term lease of, say, 12 months because the owner wants to have a decision point of whether they continue that or take another fork in the road. So it's actually literally getting rid of a fixed term lease. So there's only be a finite number of reasons that you can end a tenancy on. And that can instill a lot of nervousness in owners, knowing that your options for getting your property back under your access are really limited. So all of these factors which take away inherent rights from owners and disincentivise rental ownership are hurting not only owners but tenants too. And what we need to really focus on is treating the cause of the problem, not the symptom, symptoms being things like high rent. We need to treat the cause through new build and new supply.
So one thing that I am interested in is allowing pets or making it allowable for anyone to have a pet in a house. Obviously, you'd like to think people respect properties, but perhaps that's not the case.
It isn't universally the case, no. And most of us love animals. There's no doubt about that. But there are inherent risks that come, additional risks that come when you have animals on a property that wouldn't be there if they weren't otherwise. And for many owners, that risk's too high. Some are okay with it, but the decision as to whether you accept animals or not should absolutely rest with the owner. I mean, it's not uncommon to have, dog scratching is the most common one that comes to mind, and that can be big damage, and urine in carpets and things like this. And these are repairs and damage which trump the value of a rental bond. So that's all decisions that have to be factored in when you take on the risk of ownership. And like I said, for many, that's just too much.
Okay, thank you very much for your time today, Louise.
Thank you.
That was Louise Elliott joining us there. It's now time for your finance tip with thanks to MyState Bank. Tonight's top tip from finance expert MyState Bank is to make sure you are fully aware of the extra costs associated with buying a property. Now, you should be factoring in an extra 5% on the purchase price to cover stamp duty, solicitor costs and rates and water that need to be paid in advance to June 30. Now, 5% on a $400,000 loan equals an extra $20,000 extra for costs, plus any mortgage insurance if you are borrowing more than 80% of the purchase price. And a mortgage insurance figure can be obtained from your home lender at MyState, as it does vary depending on the amount you need to borrow. Well, to finish off tonight, we're back at Hawley to visit that amazing architectural build on the Hawley Beachfront. Let's take a look. Wow, so this seems like a really different change with the colour palette.
It is. So I guess, the owners, their key spaces, they've kept it quite neutral, a little bit more pared back because they're here more often as well. So the more colourful spaces are, when their kids come back home, they want it to be a bit more playful and vibrant, and also the guest spaces.
Lydia, you talk about framing a lot, but this is frameless windows.
No, it's beautiful. So it really keeps, again, the focus on the view, which is beautiful, and also it makes you feel a part of that view too, because there's no barriers there, which works beautifully. And again, you've got these flanking linen curtains, which make it feel more relaxed and inviting.
Pretty luxe features in the walk-in robe.
It's beautiful. So we've had a really great play on lighting here. So we've recessed the LED strip lighting in the toe kicks. We've got it in the hanging rod. We've also got it in the top plate of the floating hanging space. So it's been used beautifully.
Into this award-winning bathroom. Tell us what makes this space so special.
It's really the play of light and texture in this space. So we've actually designed a ceiling window which almost acts like a skylight, floods the bathroom with natural light. We've got another window through here which is beautiful for when you're sitting in the bath, you're looking out to the view. And also the decision around keeping the ceiling window as opposed to a highlight is that it gives us the opportunity to put this timber look tile, which is so special, that we really wanted that running floor to ceiling. And again, it's counterbalanced by these floor to ceiling sheer curtains, which just add that element of texture to the space as well. So we've got these beautiful Hero multi-hung light pendants, which counterbalance the sheer curtains beautifully, and it picks up the same tones and really softens the space.
Yeah, it is a beautiful beach, coastal luxe vibe. Thank you so much for showing us through, Lydia, and congratulations on all the awards you've received to date with this property.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
It certainly was a very special project. Thank you, Lydia Maskiell, for showing us through over the last 3 weeks. If you've got an interesting project or something happening in the real estate world, please drop us a line. You can contact us via our Facebook and Instagram pages. That's it for tonight. Thanks for your company. Good night.